The camera pans over a shimmering alien city. The alien queen's daughters laugh and run through crystal gardens, their tiny hands glowing with energy. Suddenly silence. The girls vanish into thin air. The queen screams, her voice echoing across the alien palace. Guards rush everywhere, searching, but there's no sign of them. Meanwhile, far below, a human watches quietly, calm but alert. No one knows who he is or why he's here, but somehow, he might be the only one who can find them. Strange lights flicker in the distance, leading him into danger and closer to a secret that even the alien queen fears to face. Will the daughters ever be found, or has an unseen enemy taken them forever? The sun was rising over the alien city, painting the crystal towers with soft golden light. Birds with wings like shining ribbons flew across the sky, singing songs no human had ever heard. The alien queen walked slowly through her palace gardens, her long robes brushing against the glowing flowers. She smiled as she watched her daughters playing nearby, their laughter filling the air like music. The two young daughters, small and bright, ran in circles, chasing each other and chasing tiny sparkling creatures that darted between the plants. Their hands glowed with a soft light, and their eyes sparkled with curiosity. The queen knelt down, calling to them, her voice gentle and loving. "Come here, my little ones. Breakfast is ready." The girls stopped for a moment, their heads tilting at the sound of their mother's voice. But then, something strange happened. A soft shimmer appeared in the air near the garden's edge, like a ripple in water. The daughters looked at it with wide eyes, curious. One of them stepped forward slowly. The shimmer grew brighter, humming with a soft, unknown sound. The queen rose quickly, sensing something unusual, but it was too late. The shimmer expanded, surrounding the two girls. One moment they were standing on the soft grass, and the next, they were gone. Nothing remained except the faint echo of their laughter fading into silence. The queen's heart froze. She ran forward, calling their names, Lyra, Nira. Her voice shook, echoing across the gardens, but there was no answer. Only an empty space where her daughters had just been. Guards rushed to the palace gardens. Looking everywhere, they checked the paths, the crystal fountains, even the sky above. The daughters were nowhere to be seen. The queen's eyes filled with worry and fear. She had faced many dangers in her life, but nothing had prepared her for this. Her daughters, her precious children, had vanished without a trace. Meanwhile, far away in a hidden part of the city, a human watched everything quietly. He had come to study the alien world, curious and careful. He had seen the shimmer, had seen the daughters disappear, but he did not move. He understood something others did not. The shimmer was not just a trick or a natural phenomenon, it was pointing to something. Something only he could find. The queen called for her advisors, her voice firm now, though her hands trembled slightly. "Search every corner of the city. Use every device. Bring my daughters back." The advisors nodded quickly, rushing to follow her commands. Drones flew over the towers, scanning the streets, while guards moved through the alleys and marketplaces. The city was full of life, yet the daughters were gone, and nobody could tell where they had gone. The human moved silently through the shadows, following the faint shimmer that lingered in the air. He had studied alien energy before and could sense its patterns. The daughters had not just disappeared randomly, they had been guided, or perhaps pulled, toward a certain place. If he followed carefully, he might find them before anyone else. Back in the palace, the queen knelt by the edge of the gardens, her fingers brushing the soft grass where her daughters had last played. She whispered their names again, softly this time, hoping somehow they could hear her. Her mind raced with possibilities. Could it be an accident? Could the daughters have wandered somewhere alone? Or was there someone or something that had taken them? The city's sky began to change as clouds of pink and purple drifted across the horizon. The shimmering energy pulses grew stronger, faintly visible to those who knew where to look. The human noticed them immediately and quickened his steps. He felt a strange mix of excitement and worry. He had never encountered this type of energy before, yet he knew it held the key to finding the daughters. The queen called for her fastest messengers to fly to distant parts of the city. "Do not stop," she said, Search the gardens, the towers, the rivers, and the hidden caves. Bring my daughters back to me." She looked up at the sky, wishing she could see them among the clouds. Her daughters had always been fearless, curious, and playful, but now she prayed they were safe. Wherever they were, the human finally reached a narrow pathway leading to the edge of the city. The shimmer was brighter here, almost like a small portal, and he could hear the faint giggles of the daughters carried by the wind. Carefully, he stepped closer. Every step was slow and deliberate. He did not want to scare them away or disturb whatever force had taken them. The sun climbed higher, casting long shadows over the city. The queen remained in the gardens, her eyes scanning the horizon, while the city's guards searched tirelessly. The daughters were small, but their laughter had not vanished completely. It lingered in the air, a faint promise that they were still alive. The human paused at the shimmer, realizing this was just the beginning. The daughters were out there, waiting to be found, and only he could reach them first. A quiet determination filled him as he prepared to step through the shimmering light. Whatever lay ahead, he knew it would be dangerous, but the daughters needed him, and he would not fail. The sun had climbed higher over the alien city, casting warm light across the crystal towers and sparkling streets. Birds with luminous wings glided between the towers, singing songs that no human had heard before. In the palace gardens, the alien queen's eyes scanned every corner, her heart still heavy with worry. The laughter of her daughters was gone, replaced by a quiet tension that hung in the air like morning mist. Advisors and guards moved quickly, following every order the queen gave. Drones soared above the city, scanning rooftops and streets. Scouts ran through alleys and markets, calling out the daughters' names. Every corner was searched, yet there was no sign of them. The queen's worry deepened. She had faced many challenges before, but nothing like this. Her children, her little lights, had vanished without a trace. Far away, hidden in the shadow of the city, the human moved carefully. He had been observing the shimmer that had taken the daughters, studying its pattern. It pulsed gently, almost like it was breathing, guiding him forward. He had seen many strange things in his travels, but this energy was different. It was intelligent, deliberate, and it led toward something unknown, something waiting to be discovered. The human's boots made no sound on the glowing stones as he followed the trail. Occasionally, he caught a glimpse of the daughters' small lights flickering in the distance. Their laughter, faint but real, drifted to him, carried on the wind. He paused, listening carefully, then stepped forward again. He had no idea what lay ahead, but he knew the daughters were depending on him. Meanwhile, the queen summoned her fastest messengers, searched the hidden paths, the rivers, and the caves beneath the city. She instructed, "Do not stop until every stone has been turned. Bring my daughters home." The messengers nodded, flying swiftly through the air, carrying her commands to every corner of the alien world. The queen stood in the gardens, her gaze fixed on the horizon. She whispered her daughters' names again, her voice gentle and full of hope. The human reached the edge of a narrow canyon that wound its way through the outskirts of the city. The shimmer grew stronger here, casting soft light against the walls of crystal and stone. The daughters' small figures could just be seen, hiding behind glowing rocks, their eyes wide and curious. He knelt down, speaking softly so as not to startle them. "I'm here to help. You're safe now." The daughters looked at him with hesitation, unsure whether to trust this strange human. One of them stepped forward, her small hand glowing softly, and then the other followed. The human smiled gently, keeping his movements calm and slow. He knew that trust could not be forced. It had to grow, step by step. Back in the city, the queen watched as the search continued. She could feel, somehow, that her daughters were still alive, and that someone was guiding them back. But the thought of them being alone and frightened filled her with a quiet dread. Her mind raced through every possibility. Where could they have gone? Who or what might be helping them? The human guided the daughters along the canyon paths, careful to avoid the strange creatures and unusual plants that grew there. The daughters began to relax slightly, their tiny hands gripping his arms as he moved. The shimmer seemed to pulse in recognition, almost as if it approved of their cautious steps. Each moment brought them closer to safety, yet the journey was far from over. As they moved, The human noticed signs that the daughters were not just wandering, they were being gently guided by some unseen force. Glowing patterns on the canyon walls mirrored their movements, leading them forward. The daughters glanced at these lights with curiosity, their earlier fears slowly fading. The queen's worry never lessened, but a small hope began to bloom within her. Somewhere beyond the city walls, her daughters were moving towards safety. She could not see them, but she could feel it. She whispered a quiet prayer, sending all her love and energy in their direction, hoping it would reach them, even across the distance. The human led the daughters to a hidden grove at the canyon's end. Soft, glowing plants surrounded the area, creating a safe space. The daughters sat down, watching him carefully. The human crouched beside them, speaking in a calm, reassuring voice. "You're safe here for now. I will not let anything happen to you." The daughters' tiny hands glowed brighter as they responded to his gentle tone. A small giggle escaped one of them, breaking the tension and filling the air with warmth. The human smiled, feeling a quiet relief. He knew the real challenge was still ahead, returning them to their mother, but for this moment, they were safe. As the sun climbed higher, casting long shadows over the alien world, the human and the daughters rested in the grove. Each pulse of the shimmering light around them seemed to promise safety, hope, and guidance. The journey was far from over, but the first step had been taken. The daughters had been found, and a bond had begun to grow, one that would guide them through the challenges yet to come. And somewhere in the distance, the alien queen waited, her heart full of love and hope, ready to welcome her daughters home when the time came. The light of the alien sun shimmered on the crystal cliffs as the human guided the daughters through a narrow path lined with glowing plants. The air was filled with a soft humming, like the world itself was alive and watching them. The daughters clung to him, their small hands warm against his arms, their eyes wide with a mixture of curiosity and cautious excitement. Every step was careful, for the canyon was full of twists, sudden drops, and hidden pathways that could confuse even the most experienced traveler. The shimmer that had guided them so far pulsed softly ahead, as if encouraging them onward. The daughters' laughter had returned in small bursts, tiny giggles that reminded the human why he had taken this journey. He glanced down at them and smiled gently. "Almost there," he whispered. "Stay close and everything will be fine." The canyon opened into a vast grove, filled with crystalline trees whose leaves sparkled like tiny stars. Strange creatures peeked from behind the trunks, watching silently but never approaching. The daughters' eyes lit up at the sight, and they began to move forward a few steps, trusting the human more with each passing moment. He noticed unusual tracks on the ground, patterns that seemed to shift slightly as if they were alive. The shimmer flickered around these tracks, highlighting a path that wound deeper into the grove. The human studied them carefully. "These are not random," he murmured. "Someone or something is guiding us." The daughters looked up at him, their tiny hands holding his tightly, as if they understood the importance of following. As they walked, the grove seemed to change around them. The glowing trees bent slightly, creating a soft canopy that filtered the sunlight into sparkling patterns on the ground. The air smelled sweet, like a mixture of flowers and minerals, and the wind carried soft whispers, almost like voices speaking in a language the human could not understand. He kept moving forward, trusting the shimmer and the strange patterns on the ground to guide them. Suddenly, one of the daughters pointed ahead. A soft, glowing figure appeared between the trees, small and delicate, yet unmistakably alive. The daughters ran forward, their laughter bright and joyful. The figure seemed friendly, moving in rhythm with their steps. The human approached cautiously, keeping a watchful eye on the surroundings. Whatever this figure was, it seemed to recognize the daughters, and they reacted with trust and delight. The grove opened into a small clearing, where a pool of clear, glowing water reflected the sky above. The daughters knelt by the pool, peering into its surface, their reflections flickering with tiny sparks of light. The human watched silently, understanding that this place was special. The shimmer pulsed again, brighter than before, signaling that they were on the right path. He led them around the pool, keeping them calm and together. The daughters were curious but careful. Listening to his soft instructions, "Stay close," he said, "Follow me, and we'll find your mother soon." Their tiny hands gripped his arms tightly, and he felt a surge of responsibility. Every step mattered. Every decision could shape the rest of their journey. From the edge of the clearing, a gentle hum filled the air. The human realized it was the shimmer, vibrating with purpose. It seemed to guide them toward a hidden archway. Partly concealed by sparkling vines, the daughters hesitated for a moment, but the human knelt down to their level. "It's okay," he whispered. "This way is safe, trust me." Slowly, they stepped forward, following him through the archway. The path beyond was narrower and winding, with walls of crystalline rock that reflected light in unexpected ways. Shadows danced along the walls, but the shimmer provided a soft glow that kept fear at bay. The daughters whispered to each other, their voices small but full of excitement. They were beginning to feel safe, to understand that the human was their protector and guide. As they moved deeper, the human noticed signs of something unusual, patterns etched into the crystal walls, glowing faintly, almost like a message. He studied them carefully. They were not random. They formed a gentle rhythm, a guide through the winding passages. Following the rhythm, he kept the daughters close, stepping carefully along the path. Finally, the passage opened into another clearing, larger than the first. The air here was filled with a soft, comforting warmth, and the shimmer pulsed around them, wrapping them in a gentle glow. The daughters' laughter returned fully, a bright sound that filled the space with joy. The human smiled, knowing they were closer to safety and to their mother than ever before. But as he looked around, he realized this was only the beginning. The journey ahead still held mysteries, challenges, and unknown wonders. The daughters had grown to trust him, but the human knew that their safety depended on remaining vigilant. He took a deep breath, feeling the quiet energy of the grove, and prepared to lead them further, confident that together they could face whatever lay ahead. The shimmer pulsed one last time in the clearing, almost like a promise. The daughters looked up at him, eyes wide with trust and hope. The human knelt down, smiling warmly. "We're almost there," he whispered. "Just a little further, and you'll be home." The light in the grove shifted as the human led the daughters through a narrow path lined with soft, glowing plants. The air was fragrant and alive, carrying tiny sparkling motes that danced like fireflies around them. The daughters held tightly to his hands, their small fingers glowing faintly with curiosity. They whispered to each other, their voices carrying excitement and a touch of caution. Every step seemed to bring them closer to something mysterious, yet comforting. The shimmer pulsed gently ahead, almost like it was breathing, guiding their path. The daughters' giggles returned in small bursts, and the human smiled softly, knowing that trust had begun to grow between them. "Stay close," he whispered. "We're not far now." Their eyes followed him, trusting his calm voice and steady presence. The path opened into a clearing that seemed almost magical. Trees with translucent leaves arched overhead, casting rainbow patterns on the ground. Tiny streams of light flowed like rivers along the mossy stones. The daughters paused, enchanted by the beauty, but the human gently motioned for them to continue. There was still work to do. As they moved, he noticed faint symbols etched into the crystal walls of the canyon. They glowed softly and seemed to form a pattern. He studied them carefully, realizing they were not random. They formed a map guiding the way to a safe place for the daughters. The shimmer pulsed brighter, confirming his suspicion. He turned to the daughters, smiling. "These will lead us where we need to go. Follow the light." The daughters nodded, their small hands still gripping his arms. They moved slowly but steadily, their confidence growing with each step. The grove around them was alive with gentle hums and whispers, soft enough to calm their fears. Occasionally, small creatures peeked from behind trees, curious but harmless, adding a sense of wonder to the journey. At the edge of the clearing, the shimmer led them to a hidden pathway covered in luminous vines. The daughters looked hesitant, but the human knelt to their level. "It's safe," he whispered. "Just a little further. Trust me." Slowly, they stepped forward together, guided by the soft glow. The path twisted and turned, opening into a larger chamber where soft light fell from crystal formations above. In the center, A small pool of water reflected the shimmering light, creating patterns that danced across the walls. The daughters knelt by the pool, their reflections sparkling. Like tiny stars, they giggled softly, their fear easing as they realized the space was safe. The human observed quietly, noting that the shimmer seemed to react to their emotions. The daughter's laughter made it pulse brighter, as if encouraging them onward. He realized this place was more than just a resting point, it was part of the guidance, a checkpoint to help them continue safely. He smiled, feeling hope growing in his chest. As they moved deeper into the chamber, the human noticed a faint light coming from a small archway at the far end. The shimmer pulsed steadily, almost like it was waiting for them to reach it. He motioned for the daughters to follow, and they obeyed, their small hands glowing with excitement and trust. The archway led to another path, wider and more open, with walls of crystalline rock that reflected the light in dazzling patterns. The daughters' laughter grew louder as they ran. A few steps ahead, their curiosity overcoming hesitation. The human kept pace, his eyes scanning the surroundings. He knew the journey was far from over, but the daughters' trust and the shimmer's guidance gave him confidence. Every step forward brought them closer to safety and to their mother. At the end of the path, they reached a hidden clearing filled with soft glowing plants and gentle streams. The daughters paused, taking in the beauty and relief of a safe place. The shimmer pulsed around them, wrapping them in a gentle glow, as if to assure them that the journey was going well. The human knelt beside them, smiling warmly. "We're almost there," he whispered. "Just a little further, and you'll be home." The daughters' small hands glowed brighter as they clung to him, their trust complete. They had faced uncertainty and mystery, yet they now understood that the human was their protector. The shimmer continued to pulse gently, a soft promise that their journey toward reunion had a clear path. The grove was calm, but the human knew the real challenge was still ahead. The daughters had learned to trust him, but returning them safely to their mother would require care and patience. He took a deep breath, feeling the quiet strength of the grove around him, and prepared to lead them onward. Every step forward was careful but steady, and each pulse of the shimmer seemed to cheer them on. The daughters' laughter filled the air, blending with the gentle hum of the grove, creating a sense of hope and determination. The journey had brought them this far, and together, they would continue until their reunion was complete. The grove's soft glow illuminated the human and the two small daughters as they continued along the winding path. Every step seemed to carry a quiet tension, a mix of excitement and careful attention. The daughter's hands clung tightly to his, their tiny fingers glowing faintly, while their eyes scanned the shimmering light around them. The path ahead was unfamiliar, but the human moved with confidence, guided by the pulse of the shimmering energy that had led them so far. They reached a narrow bridge made of translucent crystal that arched over a sparkling stream. The water below reflected the colors of the grove, casting shifting patterns across the walls. The daughters hesitated, their small forms trembling slightly. The human knelt down to their level. "It's safe," he whispered. "We just need to take it slow. I'm right here." The daughters nodded, stepping carefully onto the bridge, their hands gripping his firmly. As they moved, the shimmer pulsed brighter, lighting the path and revealing hidden symbols on the bridge that guided their steps. The daughters began to relax, their trust in the human growing stronger with every careful move. Their laughter returned in small bursts, blending with the gentle hum of the grove. On the other side of the bridge, the path widened into a sunlit clearing. Crystal formations rose like pillars, their surfaces reflecting light in dazzling patterns. In the center, a soft mist hovered above the ground, and the shimmer pulsed with a warm glow. The human stopped for a moment, letting the daughters take in the beauty. "Almost there," he said softly. "Just a little further, and we'll be safe." The daughters moved forward, curiosity overcoming their caution. The shimmer guided them toward a small archway, partly hidden by glowing vines. The human approached first, ensuring it was safe, then motioned for the daughters to follow. They stepped through together, emerging into a larger clearing filled with soft, glowing plants and gentle streams. The daughters' eyes widened with wonder, and for a moment, all fear seemed to vanish. The human knelt beside them, speaking gently. "We're very close now. I can feel it. Your mother is waiting for you." The daughters' hands glowed brighter as they listened, their trust in him complete. The shimmer pulsed around them, wrapping them in a warm, reassuring light. Suddenly, the grove seemed to shift slightly, as if recognizing their progress. Patterns in the crystal walls aligned to create a path leading toward the edge of the clearing. The human led the daughters carefully, following the shimmering guidance. Their tiny feet moved quickly now, excited at the thought of being reunited. With the queen dot as they approached the end of the path, a soft, radiant light appeared in the distance. The daughters' laughter grew louder, mixed with small gasps of amazement. The human smiled. Feeling a quiet satisfaction, the shimmer pulsed steadily, signaling that they were very close to safety. The last stretch of the path led them to a natural overlook above the alien city. The view was breathtaking. Crystal towers glimmered in the sunlight. Streams of glowing water snaked through the streets, and tiny creatures flitted between the buildings. And there, at the top of the palace steps, stood the alien queen, her eyes searching anxiously. The daughters spotted her immediately and ran forward, their hands reaching toward her. The human followed closely behind, keeping a gentle watch. The queen's eyes filled with relief as she knelt to receive them, her hands brushing against their glowing skin. "My little lights," she whispered, tears of joy glimmering in her eyes. "You're safe." The daughters laughed and clung to their mother, their trust in the human clear as they looked up at him with gratitude. The human smiled softly, feeling the quiet pride of a mission accomplished. He had guided them through uncertainty and mystery, keeping them safe and calm. And now the family was reunited. The shimmer pulsed one final time round the clearing, its soft glow fading slowly, as if acknowledging the journey's end. The daughters' laughter filled the air, blending with the gentle hum of the city below. The queen hugged her children tightly, her voice trembling with happiness. "Thank you," she said, looking at the human with respect and warmth. "You have done more than I could have imagined." The human nodded quietly, feeling a sense of fulfillment. He had not only ensured the daughters' safety, but had also earned the trust of one of the most powerful beings in the alien world. The daughters' eyes sparkled as they held onto their mother, glancing back at him with smiles full of gratitude and newfound friendship. As the sun began to dip toward the horizon, casting long golden shadows across the city, the queen, her daughters, and the human stood together, bathed in warm light. The journey had tested patience, courage, and trust, but in the end, hope and determination had guided them safely. And while this adventure had come to a joyful close, the human knew that the world around them was full of wonders, mysteries, and challenges yet to be discovered. For now, though, the daughters were safe. The queen's heart was at peace, and the bond formed in the shimmer's light would not be forgotten. The city shimmered in the late afternoon sun, the crystal towers casting long reflections across the streets below. The alien queen held her daughters close, her eyes still bright with tears of joy. Their laughter filled the air, mingling with the soft hum of the city, and for a moment, everything felt peaceful and complete. The daughters, once frightened and lost, now clung to their mother with confidence, their trust in the human evident in the grateful glances they cast his way. The human stood a short distance away, quietly observing the reunion. He felt a warmth in his chest, a quiet pride that he had guided the daughters safely back. Though the journey had been long and filled with uncertainty, every step had been worth it. He had earned the trust of not only the daughters but the alien queen herself, a being whose respect was rarely given lightly. The queen spoke softly, her voice full of gratitude. "You have done what none of my guards could. You have brought my children home safely." The daughters peeked out from behind, her smiling shyly at the human. Their tiny hands glowed faintly as if offering a silent thanks. The human knelt down slightly, meeting their gaze. "They were brave," he said gently, "and I was just following the path that led us to them." The daughters giggled, their earlier fear replaced with a sense of wonder. One of them stepped forward, brushing her small hand against his arm. The warmth of the gesture carried more meaning than words could express. The human smiled, realizing that this simple act had sealed a bond between them that would not fade. The queen guided them toward the palace gates, her steps slow but steady. The daughters skipped beside her, their energy renewed, their spirits lifted by the safety and familiarity of home. The human followed, keeping a careful watch over them, ensuring that nothing would interrupt this precious reunion. Along the way, the shimmer's light appeared one final time, a gentle glow that danced around the family. It seemed to acknowledge the end of their journey. Fading slowly as they approached the palace steps, the daughters waved at it, tiny faces bright with delight, and the human felt a quiet satisfaction. The energy that had guided them had been patient, gentle, and protective, much like the human himself. Inside the palace, the queen prepared a small celebration. Friends and advisors gathered to welcome the daughters back, their voices filled with relief and happiness. The daughters laughed freely now, sharing stories of their adventure in small, animated bursts. Though they had faced uncertainty and fear, the experience had strengthened their courage and curiosity. The human listened quietly, smiling as the children recounted the shimmering paths and hidden clearings. Unaware of the true depth of his guidance, the queen approached him, her eyes reflecting a mixture of admiration and gratitude. "You have shown wisdom, patience, and care beyond measure," she said softly. "Not only did you guide them safely, but you have earned a place of trust among us." The human nodded, feeling the quiet weight of her words. Respect from the queen was not given lightly, and he understood the honor in her recognition. The daughters approached him once more, small hands holding his, their faces lit with happiness. "Thank you," they whispered together. The human knelt, smiling warmly. "I only followed the path," he said. "You were the brave ones all along." Their giggles filled the room, a sound full of hope and joy. As the sun dipped lower, casting golden reflections across the crystal towers, the family remained together. The queen embraced her daughters, the human standing nearby, their journey complete but the bond lasting far beyond. The shimmer's light faded completely, leaving behind a sense of calm, safety, and quiet wonder. The human looked around at the palace, the daughters, and the queen, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. The adventure had tested courage, trust, and patience, yet it had also revealed the strength that lay within each of them. Though the world beyond the city was full of mysteries, for this moment, all was well. The daughters danced lightly round the palace steps, their laughter carrying across the city like a promise of hope and resilience. The queen watched them, a gentle smile on her lips, and turned to the human. "You have changed our lives," she said softly, "and for that we will always be grateful." The human nodded, a quiet smile on his face. He had come to this world as an observer, curious and cautious, yet he left having formed bonds that transcended worlds. The daughters had learned to trust, the queen had found her children, and he had discovered the true meaning of courage and care. As evening settled over the city, the crystal towers reflecting the soft glow of the setting sun, the human took a deep breath. He knew that this world was vast, filled with wonders and challenges yet to come, but for now, the family was whole, the daughters were safe, the queen's heart was at peace, and a quiet promise lingered in the air that the journey they had shared would not be forgotten. And as the stars began to appear above the shimmering city, the human stood quietly, watching over the family he had guided, knowing that even in the vastness of the unknown, trust, care, and courage could light the way home.